Right, okay. We're doing a Sunday reset on a Wednesday. I've done nothing but for the past few days, just cleaning, reorganising, decluttering, putting everything back in its place because I moved back home on Saturday and I haven't had like the time to like fully just like since moving back home, I haven't had the time to like fully just have a minute. And it's been a while since I've done something like this. So I thought now that I've got the time, that's what I'm gonna do. So today I'm just gonna sit down, do my makeup with yous, and I'm just gonna talk to you about like what's happened over the past 8 months. It's been 8 months since I last uploaded on YouTube. The format of this video is gonna be a bit weird. Well, not weird, but it's gonna be like, I'm gonna run by it month by month of what's happened in my life since I uploaded, which was the start of July. We're gonna start off with July. I've got like notes here as well so that I don't like forget like what's happened and stuff. So for July, we bought Travis Scott before our A-levels. It gave us something to look forward to after A-levels are over. Boom, Travis Scott. So it was like a little bit of motivation in a way. I can insert clips. I'm ready for Travis. I didn't film myself getting ready, but these are the nails. I'm gonna meet all my friends now and then we're gonna be on our way there. But I'm so excited. At this point, college had finished, so I had gone to a few leavers parties, you know, just to say goodbye to my friends, which was nice, obviously, because people are going to be up and down the country, going to different unis and stuff. I enjoyed the sun, as you do, with some of my friends, like just going to Heaton Park and just walking through, and I think at the time as well, there was like a fair on, which is something that we tend to do during the summer. I went on a night out with my friend group to kind of like celebrate the fact that A-levels were kind of done. Okay, so August, I went to a wedding, which was nice because it was I hadn't like had an excuse to like get proper dressed up like I did. I did have work the next day though. I remember the lack of sleep. In August, I also got my A-level results. So I got into my top choice of uni. Me and my family, we kind of just went out to celebrate. We just went out for a meal. I also started my driving lessons and I booked my theory test. Literally like the second I got my provisional, I booked it. That was booked for the end of August. I did pass, so I was very happy with that. Moving on to September. At the start of September, I did attempt to make a YouTube video, which was it was like an IKEA vlog sort of thing. Just didn't think there was enough footage. I'll insert clips here. Here. So you can't count to 9.
I forgot. Aesthetic. Bless you.
Also in September was induction week for uni. It was like 3 days. So I started uni and I started to do my room up. Like the student loan came through. Now that it's done, I love it. But it was a bit of a ball ache, I'm not gonna lie. Uni had started and it was a bit chaotic. There was a lot of mayhem going on because the first week uni, I'm like sleeping in my living room. Starting uni, I pretty much made a friend group on the first day. September, I also booked to go see Dizzy Rascal, which if you don't know who he is, then I don't know. Like I wrote this down and it's gonna sound so stupid, but basically, I manifested my own boyfriend. Every photo that I took of the board, he was in every single one. I wrote down that I manifested my boyfriend, and I mean, play. Danny leaving F1 was not on my bingo card for 2024. I've written down, I'm heartbroken, I'm still recovering. The fact that, like, Danny's not in F1 anymore is actually, like, it's a bit sad. Also in September, I had a Well, I didn't host it, but I ended up going to early Halloween party sort of thing. Me and my best friend went as like the two small people from Night at the Museum. The first like month or so of uni basically took over my life. Like having to get used to it, having to like basically get back into like routine after having like months off, like having to build up a new routine of like, okay, this is what I'm doing. I didn't really do a lot uni wise. It was kind of like I didn't do freshers or anything like that. Moving on to October now, more uni, you know, just more uni. Also in October, I got into a new relationship. Now I don't want to like talk about it like publicly. Like I don't mind posting on Instagram and stuff like that, but I just, for his like own privacy, I don't really want to talk about it. Also in October, I had my first like night out, proper night out, with my uni, like not like my first like proper night out altogether. It was like with my friend group, like with the uni friend group that I'd just made. I mean, I'm pretty sure we ended up meeting Spider-Man, do you know what I mean? Also in October, I had my birthday. Also in October was Dizzy Rascal. We got like right to the front of the barrier. It was just such a good night. And there was this random NPC guy. I don't know what the fuck he was doing. In October, obviously there's Halloween. So we went out for Halloween. Literally couldn't get into any place whatsoever. We tried 42s, we weren't even allowed in the queue because of how many people there were. We didn't even try ARC. We just ended up going like Gay Village, which it was a brilliant night out. At some point in October / early November, I did end up like moving in with my boyfriend, which is gonna sound really like, whoa, like 5 minutes ago you just told us that you got with him. But in October, we went to the Christmas markets, like, we went a few times to be fair, and tell me why is £8.50 for a hot chocolate. It's a bit of a no-brainer, but I did end up going on, like, a few cute dates, and I also went on Shock, which is basically my uni's, like, radio show thing. November was a bit of a boring month, I'm not gonna lie. It literally consisted of doing house viewings for like second year and moving back home for Christmas. That's literally all that happened. Nothing happened. I had booked my driving test for the start of December, but I ended up having to push it back. Started off the Christmas holidays with a few dates. We also went ice skating, which is a yearly tradition that me and my friend group do. Like we do it every year. We've literally been doing it since high school. I also ended up getting my hair done. I decided to go back to blonde. And also in December was I'm gonna blend this out. I do realise that this looks really hard. Was a New Year's party. Moving on to 2025, January. Moved back to uni and we started going on nights out again. Oh my god, finally. That makes me sound like such an alky, but after not going out for 2 months and not seeing my friends for 2 months, it was a struggle. Also in Jan, I went to Flight Club, which is like, if you don't know what it is, it's basically like a darts thing where it's like, it's not just straight up darts. It's like, you basically play darts, but there's like games behind it. It was really fun. It was like basically you have an hour and you can play as many games as you want. I also went on Shock again as well in January. Another yearly tradition that we've done since high school is Galentine's. And I know a lot of people like Galentine's, like actually shut up. But because we've done it since we were in high school, me and all girls, we had to do it again. So rather than like, because usually it's at one of my friend's house, like, and we just like get together, have drinks. We usually do like a thong swap. But this year, it was like a bar thing in Manchester. It's called like Sexy Fish. There was like this like show, like performance thing. The drinks in there were a bit spenny. One of the cocktails or something like that, I think it was like £20. That's not budget friendly. I was wearing the same dress that I wore to that wedding and that I was talking about back in August. I was wearing heels as well. Me and heels isn't a good combo. Now moving on to February, I was drunk. Obviously in February celebrated Valentine's Day. We ended up going Rudy's. Let me tell you, Rudy's pizza's so good. The pizza slaps. So at the end of Feb, it was like a late Valentine's party sort of thing. I think it was somebody's birthday as well. Okay, so moving on to March. I think March, out of all the months, was probably the most packed month. I started off with a gender reveal. Not mine. It was a girl, I guessed right. I was in pink, I guessed right. We also had a semi-successful pancake day because it started off like this and then ended like this. So it was a semi like successful pancake day. I haven't like spoken about it. This is what I've been doing since October. I have literally been going to watch my friends and my boyfriend play football on a Monday for their football team called the Rammy Dolphins. If you know, you know. They had their first win at some point in March. Celebrating our first win together was really nice. Now, if you remember me talking about my driving test earlier, I did my driving test in March and I passed. First time. Now, I'll talk about it a little bit more later. I'm just going to give you tips and stuff like that. Went on a few more nights out in March. We also had the Rammy Dolphins award night. So it was kind of like the football team had like hosted like an awards night. Coming up towards the end of March, basically at this point, uni had finished. Like it was one of those, we finished at 6 and literally went straight back out. And obviously, the end of March, I ended up moving back home. Now that I've gone through all the months and stuff, I want to move on to like tips. So I'm going to go over some uni tips and I'm going to go over some driving test tips. But I'm going to start off with uni tips. It's basically just like for uni in general, or if you're living away and stuff like that. Tip number 1 is make notes. Like whether that's during or after a lecture, if you can do so. We have like a thing called Blackboard. Basically all the PowerPoints get submitted like on there at some point. Basically just make notes. I say do it like weeks. What I did like basically like week by week. So week 1, week 2, then you know where kind of like everything is, but just like either split it up in a way that you know, like just so it's organized, if you get what I mean, or just do it week by week. That's what I did and that's what I found like the most helpful. It's just completely up to you, but just make sure that you're taking notes, keep up to date. Tip 2, invest in the right equipment. Because I'm doing journalism, my best piece of equipment, I'd say, is a MacBook, especially for lectures and stuff like that. Just make sure you have something, whether that's an iPad, notebook and pens, bags, like literally just get the right equipment for that is best suited for your course. Tip/advice 3, make sure that you're not drowning yourself in your studies. Make sure you're taking time to go out with friends. Uni is a lot it's a lot different to college, so you're gonna have a lot more like time for a social life, especially because like in college you're in for 5 days, 4 days a week maybe, whereas uni I'm only in for 3 days, which means there's 4 days for the rest of the week where I could be doing something, and you don't always need to be taking notes. So it's one of those where you will have a lot more free time. So make sure you're not like fully like drowning yourself in your work. Make sure that you are having a social life. Tip number 4, or advice I'd say, is don't be pressured into doing anything you don't want to do, even if your friends are all doing it. Like you don't also need to do it. If you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. Tip number 5/advice, you would be surprised what has student discount on it. So make sure you ask, make sure you check uni days, make sure you check student bean. So this like kind of stands for people who live away from home. Make sure you budget properly. I'd say like maybe get your student loan and divide it and just think like budget yourself to a certain amount every week. I feel like when you first get like your student loan and stuff, a lot of students, they get a bit like giddy, like oh my god I've got so much money sort of thing, and they'll just like spend it all in one go, or they'll spend it on stupid things. But I promise you, just if you're living away from home, you learn very quickly how expensive shit is. Budget properly, give yourself a budget every week. I've lost track, I think this might be number 6 maybe. Give yourself a day where you can organise yourself, and also like create a schedule in a way of like what days you're going to do this and what days you're going to do that. Say Monday I'm going to clean, Wednesday I'm going to do the washing. Just give yourself like a little bit of a schedule and try to stick to it as best as you can. Again, it's creating that routine. You'll just feel a bit better and you'll feel a bit more like put together, if you get what I mean. Like you're not all over the place of like, oh shit, like I'll do washing when I need to. My next piece of advice is apply for jobs. It's going to be hard to get a job, but just keep applying for jobs. It's like that little bit of extra money. This is one for people that are living away from you, like are living away from home, living at uni. Don't be that annoying flatmate, please. Just be clean. All your pots and pans, taking the bins out or anything like that, just please. And if you need to borrow anything, just ask. The next piece of advice is study and sit exams with friends, because that way you can ask your friends for help, you can ask them like to share ideas with you. Plus it'll just make sitting exams and studying a little bit more fun, and some things might go into your head and it's just a different way of learning as well. It might just make it that little bit more enjoyable. Now, I'm not encouraging anything, but Wetherspoons is good for cheap drinks. Another piece of advice is you don't always need to spend so much on shopping. You don't always need to go to Tesco's. No one's going to judge you if you go to Aldi or if you go to Lidl. Well, my weekly shops for 2 people cost roughly around £40 to £50 a week, and sometimes that weekly shop lasted 2 weeks. As well, TikTok is really good for like meal preps on a budget. My personal favourite was like the honey barbecue chicken tacos. Oh my god, they were so good, and we had them at least once a week. Like, they were really good. This one is for people that are living away. Before you go to uni, between like June and August, I'd say make yourself a box of everything that you need, like cutlery, pots and pans, you know, like an air fryer. Make sure that you've got everything. Once you've done it, it's over and done with and you don't need to think about it, and then you know. Or like just make yourself a checklist and tick it off. You know then like what you need, what you don't need, and then you just don't need to stress about it then, and you're like, it's done. I don't need to think about it now until I move out. And you've got everything. Now, my last piece of advice, or like a tip, is despite making sure that you've got a social life and you're going out with your friends and stuff like that, make sure that you're having time to yourself, whether that's like 1 day a week. Just make sure you're having time to yourself, because it can start to feel like as if you're not having a day off. Now, moving on to driving test tips, you may think that a driving test is literally the hardest thing in the world. I promise you it's not. I didn't know what to expect for my driving test, and it was probably the single most nerve-wracking thing ever, because I didn't know what to expect. I was really nervous. Instead of thinking it's a driving test, just think to yourself, like, I'm just showing them how good I can drive. Like, I'm such a good driver. What you think you might have failed on, it's not even a fail. If you like sort it out in the correct manner, you are good. You will usually do an hour before, like a little lesson before your test. Now, during this hour, your instructor might act in a way or like speak to you in a way that might try and put you off your test. Ignore it. I promise you they're just trying to build you up for that test, or they might just be being a dick for no reason. I promise you, just ignore whatever they're saying. Unless like you have a really good like instructor who's really nice and you just always have that banter, and that hour before and they're not on our bed, then lucky you. But if your instructor does act in a way of basically trying to put you off your test, I do advise you not to listen to them, unless like you actually have to listen and they've given you advice. Then listen. Don't rush anything. Take your time. Basically on your test you'll be asked to like pull up to the side a lot. Take like a bottle of water with you, because like when you pull up you can have a drink. I know that like I drank so much water. Like my examiner made a joke about needing to like use the bathroom because of how much water I was drinking. But taking that bottle of water with you, it gives you a little bit of a break. It gives you a breather. It's literally over before you know it. I promise you. It's like the quickest thing ever. Another piece of advice I have is before your test, make sure you practice your show me tell me questions. Like type into YouTube like show me tell me questions and then the type of car that you have, or like the type of car that you're driving. On your way back to the test centre, do not get carried away. Some people, when they realise that they're on the way back to the test centre, they'll get a bit too carried away. I probably should just stay focused, keep driving, keep doing what you're doing. Just don't get too carried away. And also another piece of advice, I did this, I know a few of my friends did it, I know my mum did it, I know like so many people did it, and I know a lot of people talk about it. Have a banana and 2 paracetamol before your test, like the morning of. I promise you. Good luck charm. I also used Rescue Remedy. I've still got it. So that's everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed. Well, thank you for watching, and I'll see you another time.